adding to the list. So welcome everyone. Really nice to be here. As Maria said, we're from Starmony, which is a music tech company based in Stockholm. And Johan and I are going to talk a bit about the concept of music intelligence and what we do at Starmony and how we sort of utilize intelligence to create a product within this industry. So before we begin, I think Maria said it, but any questions you might have, shoot them in the chat meanwhile, or just do it at the end of the presentation, and you can even unmute your mic if you want to talk directly to us. But we save everything until we're finished. Okay, I'm Kevin Westerlund. I'm the head of product at Starmony, and quite a while ago I was a developer, but sort of went into the whole product development area while I was studying at Linköping University, and so I left the developer expertise area at that point, and I've been one way or another involved in developing products at different companies over, I think, 10 years now, within the transportation business, media, gaming, and entertainment as well. And once upon a time, I was also an aspiring artist. So kind of suits being at Starmony now, working with music and entertainment. And with me, I have Johan.
Yes, my name is Johan Bjurling, and I'm a developer. I've been working as a full stack developer for about 15 years. Most recently, before I joined Starmony, I was working in the music industry at Spotify most recently, and before that Epidemic Sound. And before that I worked as a consultant for about nine years. And my background is obviously in tech. I'm a Master of Science from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, but with I studied media technology, but with a specialization towards music acoustics. And on top of that, I also studied at the Royal College of Music Theory for a couple of years. So I have like two legs, one leg in the tech as a developer, and one leg into music as a music theorist and signal processing guy. I'm also kind of an aspiring artist. I have my own band with some albums on Spotify and so on. So yeah, Starmony is a good place for me to explore both technology and music.
Nice.
Just a question, can everyone see? I guess everyone can see the screen and so on. There's no problems, just shout out if you can't.
Good.
Yeah,
we'll get right into it. I'm going to give you some background and context about Starmony and the music industry before we jump into the more techie details about how we solve the problem to create music, basically using technology. So Johan will jump into that about halfway through. But just to start off, I want to talk a bit about like content in general, because I mean the whole content creation industry have developed quite fast and quite a lot during the last 20 or so years. You could say it started with digital cameras and then moving into your actual phone, so you can take images or record video just by using a phone, which many people around the world have at their hands. So then we have services like YouTube, Instagram, and now most recently TikTok that made both creation and like sharing or distributing your own content very easy and very fast. for everyone to like take part in whatever content, if it's video, audio, music, whatever. And I don't think anyone has missed that recently there's been lots of talk about AI with different companies, mainly OpenAI driving many of the things that are being created right now in the AI space, talking about text-to-speech recognition and generation, video generation, deep fakes, etc. So this is like a pretty new genre in content that's sort of being built right now. Yeah, you can press next. So, okay, talking a bit about video and audio, what's the relation to music here then? Basically, music is all around these days, whether you're going to the gym, to the store, you're watching commercials on YouTube or even TV and radio. It's even starting to sneak into like games and streaming as well. So music is literally everywhere. Next slide. But the thing is, even though there's lots of music and there's lots of content where you can display the actual creations that you made, it's still quite difficult and expensive, and it takes a lot of time to create high quality music. You can go, yeah. So, I mean, if we're talking about the traditional way of creating music, you need a record label, you need sound engineers, you need music producers, etc. And it could take 2 weeks, a month, or even years to create and actually get your music out into the world. And apart from that, you need quite advanced technology, both analog and digital, such as digital audio workstations like Logic, that some of you might heard about. And apart from the whole time-consuming and technology, there's also the cost perspective, obviously. It's quite expensive to get all these people together, get all the technology to work in your favor. So the matchmaking product of music creation is quite often overlooked, where you need to find all these people, put them together, whether it's creative, lyrics, music, sound engineering, whatever. So there are quite a lot of barriers to make music creation accessible and fast. Yeah, next. So one of the questions that we at Starmony asked ourselves, or still do actually, is that can technology democratize music creation? Meaning, can it be widely accessible in all parts of the world and basically free to create high quality music very, very fast and easy, and then distribute it worldwide? And we truly believe that. And one of our like goals or purpose is that anyone, anywhere in the world should be able to both create, release, and actually monetize on their music. Yeah. And the other sort of interesting question regarding the whole topic of music creation, intelligence, AI, etc., is that there's a controversy, or what you say, within the music industry about, can we actually replace human creativity with technology? We might be able to, maybe we can already, or maybe we'll be able to in 5-10 years. But we see it more as we want to use intelligence in any form, whether it's AI, machine learning, algorithms, however you want to put it. We want to use that to make music creation easier and faster for everyone. So we're not trying to remove the human side of it. We still want that creative process of figuring out which keys should be in a composition, what the lyrics should be, etc. So we just try to foster human creativity with technology, basically. It's a good starting point. And if we're going to look very high level before we go into like the details we see here, Starmony is basically consisting of 3 components. We have 2 inputs, where one are the music producers. We have quite a vast network of producers, hundreds actually at the moment, that are providing their music productions to us. And when they do that, we have the other input that are vocalists, which could be singers or rappers or content creators that just want to create music in any form. So these 2 components together, we are sort of the proxy or the middleman here, that we take all those inputs, use our technology platform to both put like a final music composition together, or a musical track, basically, and also give both the producers and vocalists opportunities to monetize their music, whether it's on social media, music streaming platforms, or even Twitch or Roblox, for example. There are so many different opportunities where you can monetize music today. Yeah.
Yes. So let's go a bit more into detail regarding like what does our technology actually consist of. And before we do that, we actually need to establish just some fundamental musical concepts that we base our, if you want to call it, algorithm on. So the first one I just want to talk about is the musical concept of a tempo. And it's pretty obvious what it actually means. In music, a tempo is basically denoting like the speed of a musical, of a song, for instance. But the tempo consists of 2 parts, actually. It consists of a BPM, which stands for beats per minute. Basically, how many beats, like musical beats, does a song have per minute. The other part of a tempo in music is its measure. So that defines basically how you divide the beats into smaller groups of beats. And for instance, a very, very common measure in music is 4/4, which basically means that if you listen to music and you start counting along with the music, you're going to count to 4 and then repeat. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's basically a 4/4 measure in a certain tempo. So the tempo, or the certain BPM. So if the BPM is, say, 120, it's basically roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But there are contrasting measures, like in waltz, for instance. If you look into classical music, you have the 3/4, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then there are other more complex measures, such as 6/8, where you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you have a different kind of feel for the music. So that it's important to understand the concept of a tempo for us in music. The second very important musical concept that I want to explain is the concept of a key. And a key in music also consists of 2 parts. It's a pitch plus a modality. And the pitch is basically, you know, the height in frequency of a pitch. So if say I sing la, that's a pitch. It's a note. In music, it could be, say, an A, but ba is a different note, and ba is a different pitch or note. And in Western music, we use 12 different notes, and you've probably heard of these, like C, D, E, F, and so on. And you have like, if you look on a piano, you have the white keys, and then you have the black keys in between, and they make up, like 12 of those make up an octave. So if you have one of those pitches and you combine that with a modality, you get a key. So what is a modality then? Well, it's basically which of the notes or the keys on a piano, if you like, that you use when you're playing a musical piece. And a very, very common modality is the major modality, which most like children's songs are usually in a major kind of happy feel. So like, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Very, very happy, very positive modality. But then you have a contrasting minor modality, which is basically when you use the keys, you organize the notes or the pitches a bit differently. Then you get the minor or sad modality, like Vem kan segla förutan vind? Sounds a bit sadder. So that's basically a key. It says which pitch to start on and which modality to use. And there are actually a lot of other different modalities that you might not have heard of, like major and minor, dur moll, most people have heard of, but there are other modalities like Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and so on. And there are even more complex modalities or scales that you can use in more complex types of music. But when knowing about these musical concepts of a tempo and keys, we make an assumption in our data model that modern popular music usually stays within one tempo, and it's usually a 4/4 tempo, and it usually stays in one key as well. So if you turn on the radio today and listen to contemporary hip hop or pop, it's usually a fixed tempo in a 4/4 measure, and it never changes the key. But there are, like, if you listen to classical music or jazz, it's quite the opposite. That type of music usually changes both tempo, measure, and key over time, so it gets much more complex. But we make this assumption for now in our platform. So given that, like Kevin said, we have two different inputs. We have the vocalists or the rappers and singers, that's one input, and we have the music producers as the secondary inputs to our platform. So if we look at the vocals, what do we do then? Well, basically in our app, we give the user a metronome or a beat to sing to. So we help them to stay within a tempo and within a measure. So they might get just a metronome, it just goes at a fixed tempo, or they can pick a drum beat to get a certain feel, and they can alter, of course, the BPM, but they cannot alter the measure. It's always 4/4. So they sing into our app something, a chorus, maybe a hook, something they have figured out or come up with some lyrics. Then we send this initial recording to a machine learning model, which is trained on vocalists and like annotated by music theorists. Like, okay, what did this person sing? What did that correspond to? Which key and modality did that correspond to? And this model has been trained, so it's now able to detect which key, that is, which root pitch and which modality did someone singing. So that's what we do for the vocalists. For the music that our music producers create, we have a portal which we call Starmony Sounds, where they upload their music productions, and here we make sure that the music productions that we ingest are well structured when it comes to key and tempo and form. So the producers need to like annotate exactly what the form is, and of course the tempo, and tell us which key it's in. And we also can do some automatic detection here as well. And then once they've ingested like a track, we use some clever signal processing algorithms to transform these tracks into multiple tempos and keys. So we do time stretching and pitch shifting, and but within certain limits, because we need the music production to sound good at all times. We can't like reduce the sound quality too much. And whenever you do that kind of stuff, like stretching audio, it's always at the cost of sound quality. But we do it to an extent where it's still acceptable. So one music production, which can consist of, say, say 8 different so-called stems, and a stem is like where you have mixed all the drums together, and the bass and synths and guitars and sound effects. You have those in separate tracks, and then also divided into like verse, chorus, intro and outro and so forth. So like a song can typically consist of like 50 different audio files, and they all get transformed, time stretched and pitch shifted. So like when we're done, we might have 1,000 files for just one song. Once we have the analysis of the vocal performance, and we have all tracks in different keys and tempos, we can basically combine it. So it's pretty easy for us to pick a music production that fits your vocals, because we have like all tempos and all keys and all modalities available in our library. And as a nice bonus on top of this, once a user has completed a whole song and sent it and published it to Spotify, for instance, we can, with the press of a button, create like 50 new remixes of that and propose to the user like, hey, what about this one? What about that one? And we can reorganize stuff. Because we also have everything split up into like verse, chorus, and so on. So we can take away stuff or add or reorganize the song into a new song. So that is something that we're actually right now exploring and developing, like refining this remix feature in our platform. So basically, I've made a little flow chart here, which more or less says the same thing that I just said, but just for our repetition, like this is the app user flow. Then we take a vocal input into our mobile app, we send it to a machine learning model, which spits out an analysis, like especially, most importantly, the key. And for the producers, they input their music into our platform. We transform it into different keys and tempos, and it's ingested into a library. And once we have that, we can basically pick and choose from our library based on the analysis. And then the results might look something like this. So here's basically a video that shows you this whole process condensed.
It's the young Buddha talking to you, cause I got nothing else to give you. Hope my words are enough for you. Hear God talking. It's the young Buddha talking to you, cause I got nothing else to give you. Hope my words are enough for you. I'ma do another conscious rapper who's too modest, but that ain't even the problem. And I got 99 of them, hoping this money will solve them. Well, I hope it solve most. Didn't have to go through the streets, but still have to learn how to make it out this one.
Yeah, so basically what you heard here in a very short form is like you hear the initial recording, which is sort of dry. So when a user records into our app, we encourage them, or actually they have to use earphones so that there is no, like the metronome is not leaking into the vocals. So we have what we call a dry vocal. And then we can basically just apply music, and the results are pretty awesome. Actually, it's quite a magic experience when you do it the first time. And on top of that magic, like in the end of the video, you could hear like a different version of the same song. So yeah, that's it. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. The algorithm is pretty simple, and AI is mostly involved in like analyzing the vocal performance, but we still have the human part with the music producers creating music, and then like we have these like digital signal processing algorithms to transform the music so that it fits. But it's not much more than that. Well, just for if someone is interested in more like techy stuff here, this is basically our tech stack that we use. Our platform is built on Microsoft Azure cloud services, and it's a microservice architecture. We have an iOS app at the moment built in Swift, and the audio processing that we use is based on Apple's provided AV audio engine. So it's kind of vanilla Swift stuff. The UI is based on Swift UI and the reactive framework combined. We're also currently working on an Android app based in Kotlin. Android is quite a different story though when it comes to audio processing, because there's not much given. You have to build basically everything by yourself in C++ to get decent performance. There is like a small audio interface that you can use provided, which is called Oboe, which gives you access to low latency audio processing in C++, but that's kind of it. The rest you need to build yourself. And we use like a combination of legacy views and Jetpack Compose in the Android app that we're currently building. So it's not out there yet. We're hoping to release it like this in Q2, I would say. But that's kind of what I had planned to talk about, and we wanted to leave some room for questions at this point. So if you have questions, you can either just unmute and put them here in, or post them in the chat. So we got the ML stack for key detection that we have. Actually, the ML part that we have is a third party that we use. So it's like I don't have that much insight into that, since it's like actually outside of our company at the moment. That's not, so unfortunately at the moment, that's not like my expertise or actually anyone's expertise within Starmony. We're using a third party. How we host things in Azure, functions, web apps, VMs. Well, we use the microservices are, and this is like, I'm mostly concerned personally with the iOS, the app and the iOS and Android app development, but I'm pretty sure that we were hosting stuff in a Kubernetes cluster. And it's like small services built in .NET. And the data storage that we use is like, we use Cosmos DB for some stuff, and we use some, I think it is some key value store. But to be honest, the backend stuff, I'm a bit hesitant to give you too much detail about. So the question regarding the distribution, it's at the moment we distribute. So that's actually a very important part of our whole business model, is that if when a user has finished a track and wants to release it, it's us. We're providing the service of releasing tracks to streaming platforms as well. And we've been using third parties for that as well, like DistroKid. We're not using DistroKid right now, but it's similar services.
We're not really, the nice part about our solution is that we're not tied to any single way of distributing. mean, we could literally use any provider or even set up deals ourselves with outlets like Spotify or SoundOn for TikTok. But it's a vital component that we're actually able to distribute the music that is created within our ecosystem.
Yeah, especially because of royalty management. The business model is based on royalties. So there is like a split, a royalty split between Starmony, the music producer, and the artist. So the idea is that everyone should benefit from, like, if a track goes viral and has a lot of streams, it should benefit both the artist, the producer, and Starmony. In the video, the content was said to be AI generated, is a question, but like I just said, there is no generative AI in our app. That's true. I guess it's a it's a matter of wording, but maybe we should reconsider that phrasing. But no, it's true. There is no generative AI at the moment. We're obviously interested in looking at that further down the line, but now it's more AI. AI is used for music information extraction, or like extracting musical, using AI to extract knowledge about music performance. But the music itself is human created, and that's actually an important aspect that we use, we want to keep, although we also want in the future to use sort of, it depends on what you mean with AI, I guess, but algorithms and potentially even generative AI to transform or like reuse musical audio bits, to either just reorganize them, you know, like removing certain stuff or adding certain stuff, or recombining audio bits into something new, but maybe even generative. But it's true that it's not generative, then AI generated. I mean, I guess it's a matter of what you put into the word.
Is that it for questions?
So,
yeah, okay, another one. Who's using your app today? It's actually quite a wide target audience, but our strategy has always been to first target like bedroom singers and rappers at a first stage, to prove that our business model, technology, and basically our company works as it should. So quite a few both inexperienced and experienced singers and rappers currently use the app. We released quite a lot of songs. I think we're above 1,000 songs now in about a year that was released and created through the app. You mentioned the challenge of collaboration as often overseen. How does Starmony support collaboration? And as a UX designer, I'm of course curious about in what ways music industry collect feedback in general. So first part, how does Starmony support collaboration? Currently, we don't have like a real-time collaborative feature, but that is something that we're working on. But in terms of matchmaking that I talked about in the beginning, you could see that as some form of collaboration, but it's asynchronous. So music producers that might not have a network of vocalists, they use our platform to asynchronously come in contact with artists around the world. So that could be seen as some sort of collaboration that we have. but like artist to artist collaborations, actually creating a song where one might do the chorus for a song, and I could do I can lay out a rap, for example, in the first or second verse. That's something that we're working on today to get that into the app. And as a UX designer, I'm of course curious about the way music industry collect feedback. Yeah, I mean, feedback, we collect feedback in a myriad of ways. We're quite close to some of our users, like power users, basically. We have our own Discord server that we continuously talk to our users. Me as a product manager or head of product or whatever you want to say, I have UX interviews with people once in a while that are actually releasing tracks through the app, discussing new concepts, etc. But we also get quite a lot of feedback and comments through our social media channels, because we're quite active on TikTok, YouTube, yeah, and Discord, as I said. Thanks for presentation. Thank you for listening. Really cool idea. What was the biggest challenge in your journey so far in terms of business model and getting new users? In terms of business model, I would say that we are a free app. We always want to be free because we want to make like music creation available to anyone, anywhere, as I said 10 times. So that will always be sort of a challenge, because the royalty part that's required to like keep users interested, both producers and artists, the whole royalty industry is quite old school, let's say. It's a lot of interaction between digital service providers like Spotify, the distributors, potential middlemen, and then us finally. So the chain of actually generating and receiving royalties, it works very well, but it could take quite a long time. So that's a part of the business model that has been challenging, and we're still working on sort of optimizing that and make it as fast as we can. But we're reliant on distributors and outlets, music platforms, basically. And getting new users, what's been our biggest challenge there?
It's going pretty well with the new users, I would say. It's like, as you said, it's a free app. So there's very few thresholds for a user to download it and try it out. And I think that's also the reason why it has really good reviews in App Store so far. It's at very high ratings, because it's quite unusual that you get that much quality from an app for free. The difficult part is, of course, finding the right users. I mean, we really want to democratize music making, like Kevin said. So everyone should be able to. That doesn't mean that everyone's going to be a great artist from the start. Many users might need to use the app for a couple of years before they are actually able to still do something that is good enough to generate like hundreds of thousands of streams. So it's always a challenge to reach out to like the really talented ones that we like to support our business model. We need people that are talented enough to create hits that they get added onto like curated playlists on, and even like get people want to use the music in their TikTok videos or on YouTube or whatnot, or played on radio. So we have some really talented artists that have been played on radio, even in the US. So finding those and keeping those, that's a big challenge when it comes to the user engagement.
And it's very interesting to see that for like our most active users that keep releasing songs, they always come back to create more and more and release more and more tracks. And we can see a very clear like progression of the quality in the music that they create. So for example, the artist that Johan played earlier is called Midnight. If you want to check him up on Spotify, a rapper from the US. His like first tracks he released, it took quite a while to understand, okay, how should I record this for it to be as good as possible? But he's sort of grown into being an artist from using the Starmony app, which is very cool to see in quite a short amount of time, of about 6 to 8 months, something. So it's both getting the right users and fostering the users that we have already.
Yeah, and we have a question regarding like, aren't we sort of limited, or the users limited, since the music is based on what the producers have provided? Yeah, that is like, for now it is a bit of a limitation. We are looking into different ways of giving the users more freedom to use, like I said, we ingest a production made by a human being, and as of now, that's basically what you get. So that's kind of, it's not very different from some other competitors where you can pick and choose a beat and sing to that. We're just turning it on its head, like start with your vocal performance and then we'll match you with a beat. But we're definitely looking into giving the users the freedom to reorganize, to like remove certain stems, to like arrange the song a little bit, and also like introducing like sort of a vocal or audio library where you can pick and choose and, you know, build your song if you're not a great vocalist, or if you're perhaps a decent rapper but you want a strong vocal hook for your chorus, where we want to give the users the ability to actually more or less drag and drop pre-made vocals into a song as well, so it becomes more of a tool where you build a new song from bits and pieces. So we're looking into like opening up the ability for users to change more when it comes to the music, except for like the vocals and the lyrics. So we're and like I was touching on earlier, like we're also building a huge data set of high quality audio with a very high detail of metadata going with it. And that in itself can be very useful to actually train AI models like down the road to be able to do more machine learning stuff. But we're a small company, so we at the moment our focus has to be on more like the distribution, the royalty management, the UX of the app. We have spent like time on the technology, and that's what we're standing on right now. But like the more advanced stuff has to wait a bit until we have more resources basically to work more on that part. So now we're more focused on building really good apps for our users and to help them monetize from the music that they're able to make with the app in its current state.
Isn't there a mismatch in the form between the vocal and the music in the final mix? Perhaps you want to know or understand.
I don't really understand the question, but I wouldn't say there is. It's what you hear is what you get, more or less. We're sometimes, when a user submits a song, and if we find it really, really good, like if it's someone with lots of talent, and there are certain things that we will want to change, we have two audio engineers that might go into the song and just do some touch up and do a manual mastering of it, so that it's like you get the final touches from a human being as well. But I would say 90% of our mixes are just automatically mastered in a mastering, a kind of basic like bread and butter mastering chain. Oh, okay. How does the rapper know when there is a chorus in track if you start with vocal? At the moment, we're basically just always matching what they're rapping, singing with the chorus in the initial recording. But once you've made your initial recording, there we have a full-fledged studio that we will lead the creators into a studio mode where you can see exactly like where's the verse, where's the chorus, where's the intro and outro, and you can move stuff around. You can re-record, you can record harmonies, dubs, you can delete, and you can tweak, you can add auto-tune, you can add reverb, delay, and compression, and all. So it's really a mobile digital audio workstation that the users get before they like finalize and release a song. So, but yeah, for now, we're always matching a recording with a chorus for starters. That we have found that makes the best results so far.
Thanks, Stanislav. Great question.
Yes, thank you for great questions. All right, I think the feed seems to be slowing down with questions, so I guess that's it.
Yeah, check us out on I mean the App Store. We're live there, as Johan said. Just search for Starmony or go to starmony.io to check out our website. And maybe you can just push the presentation to the last slide before we stop. Or check out Starmony.io on Spotify if you want to hear the hundreds of tracks that we already or our artists already have released. And if you have any like follow-up questions, ideas, feedback, you're very welcome to send them to us on product@starmony.io. But yeah, try out the app and let us know what you think.
Yep. And have a nice day, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.